My name is Emily Carter. I'm 32 years old. And this is how I took revenge on the person who destroyed my life and tried to erase me like I was nothing. Cut to close up. Her hands, steady, then back to her face. 2 years ago, I had everything: a growing career in interior design, a fiance I adored, a family I would have died for. Now, I have none of it. People call me resilient, strong. They say I survived. But I didn't just survive. I burned it all to the ground and made sure the ones who buried me felt every single flame. A beat. Her voice sharpens just slightly, not bitter, but surgical. It started with one lie: a secret affair, a forged legal document, and a betrayal so complete it left me bankrupt, disgraced, and one signature away from being locked in a psych ward. A long pause. Her gaze intensifies. I wasn't just betrayed, I was erased. But if they thought I'd stay quiet, they never really knew me at all. I grew up in a small town in Virginia, the kind with one high school, two grocery stores, and everyone knowing your business before you do. I was the good girl, the helper, the achiever, the one who made straight A's, said yes, ma'am, and always remembered birthdays. My mom used to say I was born grown. I don't know if she meant it as a compliment, but I took it like one. I liked being the responsible one. I liked being the person people could lean on, especially my sister, Rachel. Rachel and I are only 3 years apart, but sometimes it felt like we were decades away. She was wild, unpredictable, full of heat and trouble and beautiful chaos. I was the one who bailed her out, sometimes literally. When our mom got sick, Rachel disappeared into parties and bad choices. I disappeared into caretaking. And when mom died, I didn't really have time to grieve. I just folded up my feelings, packed them next to hers in the hospital bag, and drove home to tell Rachel that we'd be okay. Because I had to be okay for both of us. That's what being the rock means. You don't crack. By the time I met Daniel, I thought I had life figured out. He was steady, charming in a quiet way, not flashy, but dependable. The kind of man who opened doors and remembered how I took my coffee. He made me feel like I didn't have to carry everything by myself. We met in college, Design Theory 101. I loved how he listened more than he talked, how he looked at me like I was the most fascinating story he'd ever read. We dated for 7 years. Everyone said we were perfect together. We bought a little house just outside of town. I started my own interior design business. Just me at first, then a part-time assistant, then a couple contractors. It was small, but it was mine. My clients adored me. I was getting word-of-mouth buzz, even landed a boutique hotel project downtown. I was building something. Life finally felt safe, even happy. Looking back, I see how naive that sounds. But at the time, I thought I was doing everything right. I gave and gave. I showed up. I believed in the people I loved, even when they made it hard. Especially when they made it hard. And I was proud of that. Proud of being loyal, of not giving up. But what I didn't see, what I refused to see, was that loyalty without boundaries isn't noble. It's self-destruction in slow motion. Rachel would call me in the middle of the night, crying about another boyfriend, another bad job, another disaster. I always picked up. I always sent money. I always said, "It's okay, I've got you," even when I didn't have myself. Daniel started pulling away the year we got engaged. I thought it was work, stress. I thought maybe it was cold feet. I told myself that love wasn't always romantic or exciting. Sometimes it was just showing up, day after day. So I showed up for both of them, for everyone. and no one showed up for me. There were little red flags I ignored: missing money, white lies, tension between Rachel and Daniel that I chalked up to sibling friction. I told myself family fights were normal, that everyone struggles, that love meant patience, sacrifice, forgiveness. What I didn't realize, not then, was that I was the only one sacrificing. And the thing about being the rock for everyone else is that when the earth finally gives way, you fall the hardest because no one's catching you. I thought love meant sacrifice. I didn't realize I was the only one sacrificing. It didn't explode. It leaked. Small cracks, little things. A quiet dinner where Daniel barely looked up from his phone. A weekend, he said he needed space, but didn't say where he was going. The way he started locking his phone when he never used to. I told myself it was stress. We just bought a house. My business was growing. Change is hard, right? That's what people say. Love takes patience, understanding, grace. Then I found the earrings, gold hoops with tiny blue sapphires. I gave them to Rachel for her 25th birthday. She cried when she opened the box, said they made her feel seen. 6 months later, she said she lost them. But there they were, sitting on my nightstand, next to Daniel's watch. I picked them up like they were a live wire, cold, delicate, and suddenly heavy with a truth I didn't want to touch. I asked Daniel. He shrugged, said maybe she dropped by to pick something up, said she probably left them by accident. I asked Rachel. I looked her straight in the eye and said, "Are you sleeping with him?" She didn't blink. She didn't flinch. She smiled, and said, "You're being paranoid." And I believed her. For one more week, then came the letter. It was thin, plain, from the bank that held my business account. I almost threw it away. Inside was a notice: overdrafts, frozen assets, delinquent balances. I remember rereading it 3 times, thinking this has to be a mistake. I'd been careful, smart, every payment logged, every receipt filed. There was no way. I drove to the branch in person, still thinking I could fix it, still thinking I wasn't already in free fall. They pulled up the file. A business loan. 3, actually. In my name, my social security number, my signature, or a version of it. And then, the worst part, a power of attorney form, giving Daniel full access to my financial accounts, both personal and professional, signed by me and notarized by Rachel. I stared at the document, my heart hammering so hard I thought I might throw up. The banker was explaining something about fraud departments and investigations, but all I could see was my sister's handwriting at the bottom of the page. Her name, her signature. She made it legal. The 2 people I trusted most in this world had sat down, colluded, and conspired to rip my life out from under me. And they didn't even try to hide it. Once the accounts froze, everything collapsed. My clients pulled out. Contractors stopped returning my calls. I couldn't pay my vendors. My landlord gave me 3 days to vacate after my rent check bounced. I sold what furniture I could, cried on the bathroom floor of an empty apartment, then crashed on a friend's couch with 2 duffel bags and $82 in my checking account. I tried calling my dad. He told me I needed help. "Emily, you're being dramatic," he said. "Rachel and Daniel are in love now. You should let them be happy." Let them be happy. Like I hadn't just watched them murder the life I built with my own hands. My aunt said the same thing. My cousin stopped responding. Somehow, I was the villain. Bitter, jealous, unstable. I started wondering if they were right. I remember standing on the edge of my friend's 10th floor balcony one night, staring down at the sidewalk. It was quiet. peaceful, almost. Like maybe falling would feel like flying for just a second. But I didn't pivot jump because somewhere under all that pain, something shifted. I didn't want to die. I wanted them to pay. I wanted them to wake up at 2 a.m. the way I did, heart pounding, lungs tight, not from guilt, but from fear. I wanted them to lose sleep, wondering what I knew, what I do, who I tell. I wanted them to regret underestimating me. They thought I was fragile. They thought I'd disappear. But they forgot one thing. I built myself once, and now I'd build something else, something sharper. Her name is Lauren Grant. We were in the same dorm freshman year, both obsessed with true crime, peppermint mochas, and escaping our hometowns. I hadn't seen her in 5 years, but when everything fell apart, I called her. I didn't expect much. Maybe a listening ear, a lawyer's opinion if I was lucky. But Lauren didn't flinch. She ordered a black coffee, opened her laptop, and said, "Tell me everything." So I did. The bank account, the forged loans, Rachel's signature, the fallout. She didn't ask if I was exaggerating. She didn't suggest I let them be happy. She just listened, like a lawyer and a friend. Then she said 5 words I hadn't heard in months. "I believe you, Em." That moment, that one sentence, cracked something open in me. Not pain, not grief, fuel. Together, we started digging. At first, it was just paperwork, pulling financial records, cross-referencing the loan documents. Then, Lauren caught something, a new LLC, filed 6 months before everything fell apart. The name? ECR Designs Group, my initials. It was registered under my legal name, using my old business address. But I hadn't filed it. I hadn't even heard of it. Lauren cross-checked the EIN. It was tied to a shadow account linked to my tax ID number. They'd created a fake version of my business and used it to funnel money out of my real one. Over $80,000. That's how they drained it. That's how they ruined my credit and left me with the debt, while Rachel and Daniel launched their shiny new real estate consultancy with a fake company built from my stolen identity. They'd buried me in paperwork so deep they thought I'd never crawl out, but I did. And this time, I brought a flashlight. I picked up a side job cleaning Airbnbs. It paid garbage, but it gave me quiet, time to think, time to plan. At night, I'd take pictures. Staged rooms, color palettes, DIY upgrades I installed when hosts weren't looking. I used my old design instincts, my eye for space, and slowly I built something. A portfolio, anonymous, beautiful, real. I made an Instagram under the name Ash M. No face, just work, and people liked it. They liked me, even though they didn't know it was me. One client turned into 3, then 6. It wasn't money yet, but it was mine. I stopped returning texts. I let the silence grow. I watched them from a distance, watched them post curated smiles and sunset beach shots with captions like, "Healing is a choice." Then came the announcement. Rachel and Daniel, engaged. A candlelit dinner on a rooftop, matching rings. A paragraph about second chances, about surviving someone else's toxicity. That someone, of course, was me. I read the comments. "So happy for you. She was always unstable. You guys deserve peace. She tried to destroy you and look at you now." Each one was a knife, but I didn't bleed anymore. I sharpened them. I went to therapy, not because I wanted healing. Not at first. I wanted clarity. I wanted to know if I was crazy. Turns out, I wasn't. Turns out, being betrayed doesn't make you broken. It makes you awake. I started running. Every morning, 5 a.m. Just me, pavement, and rage. I taught myself digital forensics, Reddit threads, YouTube tutorials, security blogs. I didn't sleep much, but I didn't need to. I had purpose. Every night, I documented screenshots, messages, timeline spreadsheets. Lauren helped build a case file. I organized it like a war map. One tab for financial fraud, one for identity theft, one for libel and reputational damage, one for civil recovery. They thought I was weak, but I wasn't healing. I was loading my weapon. Then one night, it happened. I was digging through an old email account still linked to my business. Half forgotten, almost empty. Then I saw it. A thread between Daniel and a contractor I'd worked with before the collapse. The subject line read, Re ECR Designs Invoice Payment Terms. Daniel had used my email signature. Badly. The font was wrong. The sign-off sloppy. He posed as me. He negotiated contracts in my name. He collected payment, then ghosted the client. The contractor said he was considering legal action against me. But he still had the receipts. Forwarded everything. There it was. Dates, amounts, attachments, a trail, hard proof. I realized they weren't just liars, they were sloppy, and I could burn them legally. Lauren read the email and smiled. It's game time, she said. People think revenge is dramatic, explosive, screaming in someone's face, smashing their windows. It's not. Real revenge is patient, cold. It's watching that ground collapse beneath them. Brick by fraudulent brick. I don't want to hurt them. I want to expose them. Because the truth burns. And I'm done pretending I'm not holding the match. I handed over 317 pages. Emails, forged contracts, loan applications, screenshots, text messages, audio files, my old client invoices with Daniel's name typed over mine, bank records linking every fake payment trail, even metadata Lauren pulled from PDF timestamps. It took months to collect. But when we filed the civil suit for identity theft, fraud, and defamation, it took the court just 3 hours to approve emergency action. Assets frozen, subpoenas issued. All that was left was to deliver the blow. The air smelled like rosé and fake forgiveness, fairy lights strung between trees, pastel decorations, a dessert table labeled Sweet Beginnings. Rachel wore white. Daniel held court near the bar, shaking hands like a politician. I stood in the shade with Lauren, documents in hand, watching them play the roles they stole. Then I stepped forward. I walked straight up to them, in front of family, friends, and the photographer capturing it all, and said calmly, "You've been served." Daniel blinked. "What is this?" "Legal restitution," Lauren said. "Civil court, fraud, defamation, identity theft. You'll want to read it thoroughly." Rachel's smile didn't even have time to drop. She laughed, shaky. "Oh my God, she's still obsessed." Daniel tried to usher her away, mumbling, "Don't make a scene." But I already had. Daniel tried to play the victim, claimed he was manipulated, said I'd given permission, that it was all a misunderstanding. Rachel called me mentally unstable, claimed I fabricated everything out of jealousy, that she was just trying to help my business. Then Lauren dropped the exhibits. We had everything. Loan applications with forged signatures, notary stamps from Rachel, transaction logs, audio of Daniel admitting to impersonating me in a business deal. Bank accounts opened in my name and funneled to theirs. The judge's expression didn't change, but I watched him underline certain pages. I watched the bailiff lean closer to read over his shoulder. Then came the final exhibit. Rachel's voice, muffled but clear. I didn't do it to hurt her. I just thought she didn't need all that money. She was doing so well. The call happened 3 months earlier. I'd reached out pretending to want closure. Rachel took the bait, eager to rewrite history as always. But I was recording. Legally, one party consent, and in the space of 8 minutes, she gave me everything: the forgery, the motive, the smug entitlement behind it all. I just wanted to help Daniel. He was struggling and she wouldn't even notice the money. It's not like she had kids or anything. She said it like it was charity, like betrayal was a kind gesture. In light of the overwhelming evidence, this court finds in favor of the... The courtroom was silent. Daniel stared at the floor. Rachel stared at me. The judge continued. Full financial restitution is ordered. Business assets will be liquidated to repay the plaintiff. In addition, the defendants will submit a written public apology, published through the same channels used to defame Miss Carter. He looked directly at Rachel. And Miss Carter, should she choose, may pursue criminal charges at the state level. Rachel lost her license as a notary. Daniel's business license was revoked for fraud. They couldn't pay their attorney. The wedding? Postponed indefinitely, though I'm sure they're calling it something softer, like taken time for healing. I didn't press criminal charges. Not yet. Sometimes the waiting is part of the pain. People think revenge is loud, angry, messy. But real justice? It's clean, methodical, documented in triplicate. I didn't need to scream. I needed to prove it. And I did. They tried to erase me. Financially, professionally, emotionally. But I rebuilt every brick they stole and carved my name into the foundation. This time, no one else touches it. Some nights I still replay it all. Not the betrayal, but the win. The look on Rachel's face, the moment Daniel realized he wasn't clever. Just common. The day the world stopped believing their story and started hearing mine. They thought I was weak. They thought I'd break. But all they did was teach me how to sharpen my teeth. I didn't go back to my old life. Not the apartment, not the business, not the version of me who smiled through red flags and called it loyalty. I moved to a new city, not far, but far enough to breathe. My design business has a new name, my name. Emily Carter Interiors. No more hiding, no more pseudonyms, just me, owning every inch of the story they tried to steal. And this time, I built it differently. Clients come to me for more than color palettes. They want honesty, precision. They want someone who knows how to rebuild from the ashes and make it beautiful. I started mentoring women who've gone through financial abuse. Most of them never saw it coming, just like I didn't. The partners who took over the bills, the siblings who forged names, the employers who skimmed paychecks. There are more of us than anyone talks about. So we talk. We trade strategies. We learn credit literacy, digital security, small business protections. We remind each other. Just because they stole from us doesn't mean they get to keep the story. People ask if I ever reconnected with my family. I didn't. There were a few calls, an apology from an aunt, a text from my father that just said, maybe we misunderstood. But I chose peace over performance. I chose silence over empty chairs and fake holidays. Forgiveness isn't about letting them back in. It's about letting myself go. One night, on a whim, I posted a TikTok. Just a voiceover and a slideshow of photos. Me, my work, a courtroom sketch, the phrase, she didn't fall apart, she fought back. It exploded. 1 million views in 2 days. And then came the messages. Hundreds of DMs. Women, men, strangers, all with the same story in different words. They drained my account. My brother forged a loan. No one believed me. I thought I was alone, but they weren't, and neither was I. Rachel and Daniel, bankrupt. Turns out, my case opened more than just old wounds. It triggered a federal inquiry because I wasn't their only victim. There were two other women Daniel had scammed. Rachel notarized their documents too. Now they're under investigation for tax fraud and federal wire fraud. I don't watch their spiral. I just keep walking. Some days, I still feel the weight of what they did. But it's lighter now because I turned it into something they can't touch. A business, a platform, a life. And every time someone calls me strong, I smile. Not because they're wrong, but because they don't know the half of it. I was erased. But I rewrote myself. And this version, she's not afraid of fire. She is the fire. I don't tell this story for sympathy. I tell it because there's someone out there right now who thinks they're crazy when they're actually just being betrayed. Someone questioning their gut because they were taught loyalty matters more than truth. Someone looking at the person they love and realizing they're sleeping next to a stranger. I know that moment. The unraveling. The silence after everything collapses and no one believes you. But here's what I want you to hear. Not in a quote, not in a bumper sticker kind of way, but from one survivor to another. You're not broken. You're just at the part of the story where it gets dark. They tried to destroy me, but I didn't just survive. I rebuilt. I learned. And I made sure they never forget the day they decided to betray a woman who had nothing to lose. If you're in the ashes right now, just wait. The fire might have burned you, but it also made you untouchable. Revenge wasn't the ending. Reclamation was.